We're given an elliptical arch of a bridge which has a span of 150 feet and a height of 35 feet. We're supposed to find the distance h from the water, 55 feet, the distance h from the water, 55 feet to the right of the center of the arch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little coordinate system, and I'm going to have the origin of my coordinate system be right at the water line. This is going to be my x direction, this is going to be my y direction. And I'm going to have the center of my ellipse be right at the origin. So I'm going to have a center of 0, 0. I'm going to be going left and right farther than I am up and down. So that means my major axis along the x-axis. From the center to one of the points on the ellipse is going to be half the distance of 150 feet. So half of 150 feet is 75 feet. So my A is going to be 75 feet. My B is going to be the distance from the center to the top of the ellipse. So my B is going to be 35 feet. So what I'm going to do is first come up with an equation of my ellipse, and then I'm going to try to figure out what the height is. So the ellipse in the standard form is x minus h quantity squared over a squared plus y minus k quantity squared over b squared equals 1. And in this case, my major axis is in the x direction. That's why I'm going to have a here. My center is 0, 0. If I put in 0 for h or in 0 for k, my equation becomes x squared over 75 squared plus y squared over 35 squared is equal to 1. Now I have the equation of my ellipse. I need to figure out what happens to it when it is 55 feet from the center. What is its height? So my x coordinate from the center to a point, my x coordinate is equal to 55 feet. My y coordinate, so I'm basically finding what this point on my ellipse is going to be. My y coordinate, I don't know. That's my h. So my y coordinate, I'm going to have that equal to h. So I'm going to plug these values into my equation of my ellipse, and I'm going to put 55 in for x squared, and I'm going to put h in for y squared. So I end up with 55 squared over 75 squared plus h squared over 35 squared equals 1. I'm going to multiply this equation by a common denominator, and I could find a least common denominator, but I'm going to be using a calculator anyway. So I'm just going to multiply both of these terms by 75 squared, 35 squared. So in essence, my 75 squared, 35 squared, my 75 squared is going to cancel out. On the second problem here, I'm going to do the same thing, and my 35 squareds are going to cancel out. So I have 75 squared, 35 squared. Those are going to cancel out. And then I have 1, and it's going to have 75 squared and 35 squared. So now using my calculator, multiplying 35 squared times 55 squared, I came up with this number. 75 squared times h squared, 75 squared times 35 squared gives me this number. I'm going to subtract this from both sides of the equation. When I do, I end up with 5625 h squared equals 3,185,000. I'm going to divide both sides by 5625. H squared is going to be equal to 566.22. And I want to know what h is, not what h squared is, so I'm going to need to take the square root of both sides. And I end up with h is equal to 23.795 feet, which is approximately 24 feet above the water.